I spent 30 years building a life no one knew about. Even my own daughter had never seen the papers proving I owned 42 secluded acres high in the mountains. I kept that secret for one reason: to protect her. But the day she married a charming man, who always had excuses, I realized that secret might one day save us both. Then, one cold morning, my property manager called with panic in his voice. "Sir, your son-in-law is here. He's carrying bolt cutters and he's trying to break through your locked gate." He thought he had found hidden wealth. What he didn't know was that I had been expecting this moment for years. And what happened over the next 72 hours destroyed every lie he built. My name is Michael. I'm 68 years old, retired, and I've learned one lesson the hard way. Money doesn't ruin families, greed does. 30 years earlier, after selling my construction company, I quietly purchased 42 acres tucked deep in the mountains. There were forest, a creek, a small hunting cabin, and enough untouched land that nobody ever bothered asking questions. I never bragged about it. I never posted pictures. I never even told my daughter Emily. People thought I had spent all my savings after retirement. I let them believe it because I wanted to know who loved me for me, not for what they thought I owned. Emily grew into a kind woman. She became a teacher, volunteered at shelters, and never asked me for money. Then she met Daniel. He smiled too much, talked too smoothly, had 10 different business ideas, but never held one steady job. Every conversation somehow turned toward money, investments, inheritances, or property. At first, I ignored the warning signs. Emily insisted he was misunderstood. Months later, they married. Within weeks, Daniel started asking strange questions. Did your father ever own land? Does he have hidden investments? Where does he keep important documents? Emily laughed them off. I didn't. One evening, I purposely left an old folder on my kitchen table. Inside were fake property records showing I had sold nearly everything years ago. Daniel looked disappointed. That told me everything I needed to know. A few months later, my property manager called. "Michael, someone's been driving slowly around the mountain road every weekend." We installed new security cameras. The footage showed Daniel. He wasn't sightseeing. He was mapping every entrance. Then came the phone call that changed everything. "Sir, your son-in-law is here with bolt cutters. He says he owns the property now." I smiled. "I'll be there." But I wasn't driving there alone. Before leaving home, I called my attorney, then the sheriff, then my property manager. By the time Daniel finally cut through the heavy chain on the front gate, 3 patrol vehicles were already hidden nearby. He drove inside confidently, straight toward the cabin. He never noticed the cameras recording every second. When he reached the cabin door, he pulled out another set of bolt cutters. The sheriff stepped out, dropped the tools. Daniel froze, then claimed there had been a misunderstanding. He insisted Emily had inherited the land. The sheriff asked for paperwork. Daniel had none. Instead, officers found forged property documents inside his truck, fake signatures, printed maps, lock-picking tools, and emails showing he'd been trying to sell pieces of land online before he even owned it. The investigation exploded. Detectives discovered Daniel had used almost the same scheme before. He targeted older property owners, married into families, searched for hidden assets, forged paperwork, and tried transferring ownership before anyone noticed. Emily was devastated. She couldn't believe the man she trusted had planned everything from the beginning. She apologized through tears. I hugged her and said something she'd never forgotten. Being deceived doesn't make you foolish. Refusing to learn from it would. Daniel was arrested. Charges continued growing as investigators uncovered victims from several states. The fake documents became evidence. The security footage became evidence. Even the bolt cutters became evidence. Within days, every lie he'd built collapsed. Months later, Emily finalized her divorce. She moved back temporarily while rebuilding her life. One week, and I finally drove her to the mountains. We stood together overlooking the 42 acres I'd protected for decades. She asked softly, "Why didn't you ever tell me?" I smiled. "Because I wasn't hiding it from you. I was hiding it from anyone who might use you to reach it." For the first time, she understood. The land had never been the real inheritance. The lesson was, people often think the greatest gift parents leave behind is money. They're wrong. Money can disappear. Property can be stolen. Documents can be forged. But wisdom, patience, and the courage to protect the people you love are worth more than any mountain of cash. That morning, Daniel believed he was breaking into 42 acres of valuable land. In reality, he walked straight into the trap built by his own greed. The cameras never lied. The forged papers never held up. And every cut he made with those bolt cutters only tightened the case against him. Today, Emily owns the mountain property not because she expected an inheritance, but because she proved she valued family more than fortune. Every sunrise over those 42 acres reminds us of one simple truth. Secrets kept for greed destroy families. Secrets kept for protection can save them. If this story taught you anything, remember this. Never measure a person's wealth by what they own. Measure it by what they refuse to sacrifice to keep it. Sometimes the strongest legacy isn't hidden in land deeds. It's hidden in the character that survives betrayal.